Have you ever heard about the King Theseus ship paradox? It's a little thought experiment that goes something like this. King Theseus had a ship in which he was sailing for a long voyage. One day he noticed some of the wood started to rot, so he ordered it replaced. This happened over and over with every single piece of the ship, until everything had been replaced. So the question is, by the end of his voyage, was King Theseus sailing aboard the same ship, or was it now a completely different one? Think about it for a moment and keep your answer in mind as I ask you a follow-up question. Do you like playing as Mordekaiser? I have always thought of Mordekaiser as one of League's most iconic characters. Even if you don't play the game, I haven't played in years, you might still have seen him here and there. He was the source of many running jokes in the community and a popular pick in pubs. Now, when you think of Mordekaiser, you probably think, big dude, clad in armor, has a large mace and likes heavy metal. Thing is, he got a rework a few months ago, and now has this cleaner, spiffy new look. And at first glance, everything's great. Armor? Check. Mace? Check. Heavy metal? Check. His voice lines changed, but he's still the same champion. Well, in everything but gameplay. You see, Mordekaiser had a complete overhaul of his skill set, and by overhaul I mean he's a completely different champion now. Sure, he looks and sounds the same, but the Mordekaiser as I knew him no longer exists. Red deemed his gameplay too old, too clunky, a relic from League's Dota-inspired heritage like Old Scion or Old Fiddlesticks. But much like Theseus' ship, it begs the question, is this even Mordekaiser anymore? Sure, the new kit plays better, and I'm sure it's more impactful in the competitive scene, but I'm also sure that out there exists an old school Mordekaiser main who is very sad about how his favorite character was essentially removed from the game forever. This is something that always kind of bothers me whenever it happens in a game. Some decisions need to be taken in the name of balance and keeping things interesting, but I think there's a very thin line you need to thread if you want to keep functionality, fun, and flavor balanced in your game. Here's another example. In Super Smash Bros., some characters have outdated movesets, especially those present in the series since the days of Smash 64. Samus, for example, could really use a rework of some of her abilities, as evidenced by how even years and years of buffs, she's still just not competitively viable, much to the discontent of her fans like the pro player Esam, who has been trying to force her for a while now, with limited success.
Are you serious? Yes! More Metroid, baby! Please don't be bad like Samus is.
But at the same time, changing the way she plays might hurt the people who maybe aren't fond of Samus as a character, but like her gameplay style, which has existed for 2 decades now. And in a game like Smash, which is this mix of competitive fighting game and fun party game, the decision of what to prioritize becomes even harder. But this doesn't apply exclusively to characters, mind you. Take Rainbow Six Siege as an example. It's a game where you're taking sides as either a terrorist or a special forces operative trying to accomplish a goal, be that defending a ticking time bomb or rescuing a hostage. And Siege's maps, especially the original ones, reflected this very well. A house, a plane, a dockside office building, or a cafe/art gallery. These are all believable locations where any of these situations could take place, and they felt like it. The layout seemed functional, and while laying your traps and setting up your angles, you could imagine that people did truly inhabit these places. It gives the game a sense of realism, an almost simulation-like feeling to the whole experience. But these maps, while realistic in layout, were not the most adequate for competitive play. This was most notable with the previously mentioned house and presidential airplane maps, which had designs that just made for pretty poor gameplay at times, limiting everyone's strategies. And so the maps were reworked. The canal offices I showed earlier became more blocky and strange looking. Color-coded environments replaced the more natural ones to assist with shot calling in competitive matches. The maps became better, more well thought out, but they also became decidedly more video game-like. I think this change in design philosophy culminated with the Pro League cinematic video, where characters all bantered as they shot each other in a very fourth wall breaking way. Siege was no longer a simulation, a training exercise. Siege is now a competitive game, with a cheering crowd and fan favorites. Now, it's not all black and white. I do think it's possible to reach a compromise, a middle ground. And to give an example of something I'd consider to be a good execution of the concept, I'll use a game historically linked to the one I started this video with, Dota II. You see, Dota has this one hero called Goblin Techies, might have heard of him. Perhaps the most infamous hero in any MOBA to date, Techies has always been known for being horribly annoying, filling the map with landmine after landmine, making the enemy team's life hell. A Dota game with Techies wasn't a regular Dota game, it was a Techies game. The match tends to orbit around him, not only for the enemy team who has to play at a maximum attention level at all times, but also to Techies' own team who faced a problem. Annoying as he is, Techies was hopelessly weak at direct combat. The most he could do was commit suicide and hope to take someone with him. A game with Techies on your team was more often than not a 4v5. So eventually, IceFrog decided to rework the 3 goblins. His stackable mines were replaced with much more damaging ones that required more thought out positioning, as they were now visible to nearby enemies. His suicide ability was replaced with one that does a lot of self-damage but also massively hinders the enemy team, by not only damaging them but also silencing them for a long time. The range of all his abilities was increased, so now Techies could teamfight by hurling bombs at the enemies. Techies had changed. He's still the extremely annoying hero he always was. People still love to hate him, and Techies players still love to be hated. But now he feels a lot more functional while also being easier to play around, for enemies and allies. A successful compromise between gameplay and flavor was reached. So at the end of the day, what is the answer to the thesis ship paradox? Well, there really isn't one, at least not objectively so. It's a thought experiment, the way you answer it is what matters. And I think it's also the case here. There is no clear path, different players will have different preferences. Some will prefer flavor at all costs, while others will plead for balance changes above everything else. And it's this tricky line that developers need to learn to stick to. Change is important, but it's also important to keep in mind what made people love the game in the first place. Where do you stand in this debate? Leave a comment below, and if you like this video, please consider giving it a like and maybe subscribing for more. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.